When I was a kid, I dreamed of having a Fender guitar. And I saw all my favorite Guitar Heroes playing Telecasters on.
For decades, one of country music's most quietly astonishing love stories unfolded in plain sight, unnoticed by most and misunderstood by many. Now, at 67, Marty Stuart has finally begun to speak in a different tone. Not as a historian of country music, not as a performer in a rhinestone jacket, but as a man reflecting on a lifetime shaped by one woman, Connie Smith. And what he reveals isn't flashy or dramatic, it's heavier than that. It's the kind of truth that settles slowly, the kind that was never meant for headlines. Marty's story with Connie didn't begin in fame or adulthood. It began in childhood, with a boy standing in a crowd transfixed by a voice that felt larger than the world around him. He was just 12 years old when he first saw her perform at a small town fair. To everyone else, she was already a star. To Marty, she felt unreal. Not distant, not untouchable, but wholly in a way he didn't yet have language for. Later that night, without irony or hesitation, he told his mother he was going to marry Connie Smith someday. The adults laughed. Marty didn't. That moment rooted itself inside him and never left. Years passed, and life moved forward in ways neither of them could have predicted. Marty grew into a prodigy, touring early, playing mandolin beside legends, absorbing the traditions of country music like scripture. Connie, meanwhile, carried a career that burned bright and heavy. Her voice reshaped the genre, but the cost was immense. Pressure, expectations, emotional strain, and a sense that the industry wanted her gift without caring for the person carrying it. She stepped away at times, choosing family and faith over applause, while quietly carrying wounds few people ever saw. Marty watched all of it from a distance. He never intruded, never chased. His admiration matured into something steadier, quieter, almost reverent. Even as his own career rose, awards came, and stages grew larger. That childhood promise never loosened its grip. He followed her story the way someone follows a star, not to possess it, but to stay oriented. When they crossed paths again years later at a tribute show, something shifted. Connie was older, guarded, and shaped by everything she had endured. Marty, no longer a boy, stood before her as a man who had been formed by the very music she helped define. What surprised her wasn't his devotion, it was its patience. He didn't rush her. He didn't rewrite her past. He simply stood present, carrying a lifetime of respect. When they married in 1997, it didn't feel like a sudden romance. It felt like a story that had been waiting decades to complete its sentence. But marriage didn't erase what came before. Beneath their harmony lived a silence neither of them tried to decorate for public consumption. A shared grief that hovered but was never named. Friends sensed it. Family felt it. A pregnancy that ended before it could become memory. A loss that never received language. Marty once said, almost casually, that some songs never get finished. You just hum what's left. No one knew exactly what he meant. Maybe he meant everything. They built a small chapel on their land, a private refuge where no one performed. It wasn't symbolic, it was necessary. Offstage, their life retreated into stillness. Long routines, faith, withdrawal from noise. Marty poured himself into preservation, collecting instruments, saving artifacts, building a living archive of country music's past. To outsiders, it looked like passion. To those closer, it looked like someone trying to protect memory from disappearing the way people do. There were moments when the weight surfaced. In 2002, Connie walked into a studio while Marty was recording a song that felt too much like goodbye. He stopped everything, destroyed the tapes. The session was never spoken of again. Not long after, she skipped performances. Marty toured alone. Rumors flickered, then died when the couple reappeared together at a gospel event, hands intertwined, faces calm. At home, neighbors noticed long stretches of silence. No visitors, no music, just the sense of a life turned inward. Marty's interviews changed over time. He stopped talking about plans and began speaking about legacy, memory, what remains. He kept a leather journal locked away, filled with unfinished poems, sketches, confessions. Some pages addressed as she. Some spoke of a baby. One line read, "When the house is quiet, I still talk to the baby." No one close to them would explain it. They didn't need to. The truth was never meant to be decoded. Connie's pain was not theatrical. It was internal. Fame had fractured her relationship with herself. She once looked at an old photo of herself on the Opry stage and said she didn't recognize that girl. Sometimes she missed her. Sometimes she didn't think she had ever really been her. After that moment, Marty stopped trying to bring her back to the spotlight. He turned down tours, let recording plans fade. He chose peace over legacy because he understood what it had cost her to survive. Loving Connie changed Marty. He stopped being just a performer and became a guardian of her, of history, of the fragile souls who built the music he loved. He began honoring forgotten artists, preserving overlooked stories, protecting what the industry had chewed through and moved on from. On stage, he softened. Performances became tributes, not showcases. And at the center of it all was Connie, not as a star, but as a presence. Their home became a sanctuary. Music played without ambition. Gospel hymns hummed softly. No charts, no audiences, just memory and breath. Friends described a small chapel tucked away in the house where Connie would sing quietly and Marty would strum beside her. Not for anyone else, for healing. Now at 67, Marty speaks about Connie not like a fan or a biographer, but like a man honoring something sacred. When asked about his proudest accomplishment, he doesn't mention awards or halls of fame. He says, "She lets me love her." And in those 5 words lives the entire story. He waited decades. He stood through silence. He carried ghosts without demanding they disappear. And in doing so, he built something the industry never could. Not a legacy, a refuge, a love that didn't need to perform, a life that finally learned how to be still.